Sha-na-na-na-na-na-na-na, sha-na-na-na-na.
Hey everybody, it's Laura and we are doing a tutorial video today for a Coronomatic Coronet XL. And so this is, I would say, probably mid to late 70s typewriter. It's very similar. It feels like the early computers. I grew up with those. I mean, heck, I did not even have my own personal computer till I was married in the late 90s. And when I was in college, we had to go to the computer lab room. And even then we didn't have internet. We just had access to a computer to type on and then print on a dot printer in the lab room. So that's how old I am. And anyway, but this is very, very easy to type on. This is what I would call a nice transitional piece for those of you who love the feel of a computer, but you really want to kind of be introduced to the typewriter world. This is a great piece for you. It's also an awesome workhorse. If you're an active writer, this is a typewriter model for you. But if you're watching this, it's probably because you've got one and you want to know how to use it. So let's get started. Right here is your paper holder. Just keeps that from flopping over. Your margins manually need to be set, so you just press and drag. This is a fully electric typewriter, so it does need to be plugged into the wall. There's no return handle because it's got a return key. Now, to move the carriage, the levers you have to press in, and they're on the back panel. And it doesn't matter which side, you just press it in, and that moves that carriage. And this is just if you need to manually move the carriage. Obviously, it will move on its own as you're typing. The carriage will only move as far as you have the margins set. So if we bring those in, okay. You hear that bell. That bell goes off when you get really close to your right margin, and that's to let you know it's time to hit your return handle, so that return button, so that you can go to the beginning of the line, of the next line. Okay, on your carriage right here, this is a paper release lever. We're going to show that in action in a second. This is your line selector, so when you hear that, hit that return button, it's going to advance 1, 2, or 3 lines. On your carriage, on the left side, you'll notice that there's a little button sticking out on the left handle. And that's kind of for variable spacing. When you press that, because when you turn the handle, it clicks. That's every half of a line. If you kind of want to go in between that, you just press this little button and turn while you're holding the button in. Get the paper exactly where you want, and then release that button. This is a typewriter that uses a cartridge and not a ribbon. And so there is a lever right here on the side, and you press that, it pops your cartridge out. This is what cartridges look like. We have replacement cartridges on our website at UntitledTypewriters.com. So if you've got one and you need a fresh cartridge, we've got one for you. Okay, and the nice thing is there's no messy ribbons that you have to thread through guide wires. You just pop that in, it's ready to go, but it only comes in one color, black. Okay, these are your type keys right here. You can adjust settings for those down here. One side says impression and the other says touch. So the impression is going to determine how hard the type bars hit your paper. The touch is more for your keys. Some, like my husband has a very heavy hand, I have a very light hand. So just, I guess, play around with yours until you have a setting that you like. Honestly, you're probably not going to notice much of a difference. That's just me. Okay, when you go to load your paper, you're going to load it right here, kind of between this silver Coronomatic piece and the black ribbon metal piece. Ruler metal piece. Okay, misspoke. All right, so you just set it there, turn the handle, that pulls that paper through, make sure it comes underneath the bar. In this case, if you do it crooked, which mine's a little bit crooked, then that's where this paper release comes in handy. You pull that forward, straighten out your paper, make sure it's where you want it. Re-engage, always re-engage your paper release, or otherwise your paper's not going to advance properly. I already did some typing on this paper, but that's okay. Come over to the beginning of your margins. Make sure everything's set the way you wanted. The on-off switch on this one is hidden. It's right down here. You'll feel a lever. Just pull that towards you. That turns it on. This is a very quiet typewriter. Yay. In terms of you can't hear the motor is very quiet, which is wonderful. Okay, down here are your tabs. So when you hit tab, in this case, I've got one set already, but if I want to clear it, I just hit clear. There's a different one, clear. And there, so now all my tabs are clear. And if you want to set one, well, just let's pick a spot right here. We'll hit set. And you've got your tab set. So down here on the keyboard, you've got your numbers. On the top part are your symbols. So to use the top symbols, you hit your shift key. There is a shift lock, and the shift lock does caps and the symbols. To release the lock, it doesn't matter which one, just hit a shift and that'll unlock that. You also have your backspace. Backspace does not erase, it just backspaces. So when you make a mistake and you will embrace it, you can either X through it, dash through it, or type over it, whatever you prefer. Part of typewriting is making mistakes and just working with it. Now there, you can get like whiteout. I think they're still around. I would just search for some at your office stores or something like that if that's still around. I don't personally recommend it because whiteout actually leaves little, you'll start getting film developing up. We'll get these typewriters that have white, they're just covered in white internally, and we really gotta dig it out and clean it up. And that's from using whiteout. Okay, so that is how you use your Coronet XL. As we leave the end of this video, I'm just going to type here for a little bit so you can see it. Oh, let's talk about the margin release. So when you get to the end, when you get close to your bell, when you get to the bell, your typewriter is going to stop and you're not going to do anything. And if you're in the middle of the word, that can be really annoying. So the margin release is that margin so you can finish your word. So let's test it out. So it stopped on me, so there we go. But what happened was I ended up getting a space there, and the reason is when it stopped, I didn't stop. I kept typing, and so there's several typewriters that will do that. So if you are one that you're like keep typing going, why isn't this typing? And you realize after you hit margin release, if it seems to jump, just use your backspace and backspace one space and then finish your word. And you'll, as you get your typewriter, you'll get a feel of how it operates. And see, it did not space on me at that time, because as soon as it stopped, I stopped, hit the margin release, and so then it didn't put a space in there. So that's just a little side note for you. All right, thanks for watching. Hope you found this helpful, and have a blessed day.